Hi, Will.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. You still in New York?
Yeah, I'm still in New York, and everybody is talking about CMMC, and I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, CMMC 1 or 2. What is the difference?
Well,
Yeah.
today it's 2.0. By the end of the year it'll probably be 2.1 or 3.0. We're kind of riding the wave over here.
So what is the CMMC for?
So CMMC is the latest requirement for U.S. defense contractors and the defense industrial base for securing controlled unclassified information.
Hmm. And which company required to be compliant to CMMC?
Everybody that sells to the federal government in the defense space. So, anybody from, manufacturers of windows or, widgets or safety gear, any business that will sell into a defense, different branches of the service or the defense industry.
So it could be a very simple manufacturing company that sell hardware or any type of things to the government. They have to be so secured be compliant to CMMC.
They do, and with CMMC, there's different levels, right?
Mhm.
So depending on the requirements and the data that you're getting, they have to scope. They have to say, okay, what data are we getting, or what are our contracts requiring, and then put the security in place to meet those requirements. And with CMMC, the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0 has just been the evolution. When CMMC started, it was everything was going to be assessed by a third party auditor.
Mhm.
And then now that we're getting into 2.0, the level 1 certification, kind of the bottom end, not controlled unclassified information. We call it in the defense industry, the FAR and the DFAR requirements for federal acquisition. But those on the low end, they're now talking about self attestation again, which was what CMMC was supposed to fix, was the
Mhm.
self attestations from before. But with 2.0, it looks like the level ones can still do self attestation and upload their scores. And then once they get into level 2, now that still requires that third
Mhm.
party audit.
I read the CMMC is so many requirements there. So when you say self-attestation, I mean somebody has to help you to do that. It's not trivial.
It's not, and it's really misinterpreted. So a lot of people will read the requirements and say, yes, we do that, but they don't do it to the requirement of CMMC. And so, we look at CMMC, really that's the name given to the whole program. But underneath it is still the FAR, the DFARs, it's the NIST 171 and the NIST 172 kind
Mhm.
of in a program together.
I understand. And what about MSPs and MSSPs? I heard that they have to be comply as well to CMMC. Is it right?
So it really depends on the scope. So, with MSPs, anybody with remote access to the system, you really have to start looking at scope. And so we have to go in and we have to look at what services are we providing. Do they meet the requirements? So we have to start looking at what encryption's used. We have to start looking at if it's connected to the cloud, are the cloud providers, authorized, just because something is, let's say, FedRAMP equivalent doesn't mean that the FedRAMP requirements go away. It just means that they haven't paid the money to have it assessed by
Mhm.
the federal government. So the requirements are all still there. It's not our interpretation of what's equivalent. It's the requirements are set and they have to be audited. So, as an MSP, we have to go in and look and say, what service are we providing? We look at our RMM and we say our RMM, we can go in and let's say download files from a customer's computer, right? We can upload or download. Well, in CMMC, those features have to be disabled, or our entire MSP can become in scope. And so then we can be audited for CMMC as well. So we have to make the business decision. Do we keep doing business the way we've been doing it, or do we adapt, or do we build a specialized stack to support the defense industry and, kind of create this little, segment that is specific for government contracts?
Hmm. And for companies that, let's say that the MSP want to help a company to be compliant to CMMC, how long is the process? How complicated it is?
So the process for the organization seeking certification, what they're going to have to do is, if they have to get CMMC. So right now their contracts, we've seen a few of them start to come out that are now requiring it. But by December, almost every contract is going to have a CMMC requirement in it. And so this year is critical to start this process. But what happens is the organizations that are seeking certification are going to have to be audited by a third-party assessor, a C3PAO. And so they've got to get on that list. And, I would say it's a waiting list, because some of your bigger government
Hmm.
contractors are already in line. And so they basically have to, get this certification. And then the CMMC accreditation body is the only group that can certify that the audit was done by an authorized party. And so they're stepping through. They have to go out, get the audit. The auditor submits that to the CMMC accreditation body, and then they issue the certification. So, it's, these are things that, according to the DoD, these requirements haven't changed in let's say 5 years,
Mhm.
with 171. So these organizations should have already been doing this. And so the certification should be all that's needed. But a lot of organizations are now actually having to go in and do these things and then get in line and get the certification.
For MSPs that do some kind of compliance assessment, do you think CMMC is an opportunity for them to provide additional services, or it's very complicated to start doing that if you haven't done it before?
So we there's a carve out in CMMC for what's called an RP and an RPO. Those are kind of the consultants that help implement CMMC. The entry to that is very, very small. It's about for the organization about $5,000 a year, and then for the individual. The individuals, it's about 500 per year. So you take an organization that wants to get into doing CMMC consulting, the entry is right at about, starts at about 5,500. But then there's levels above that, right? You have the C3PAOs, you have the certified professionals, the audit. So there's different levels. But yes, there's a huge opportunity. I can think offhand, I've got a couple clients that are already in line, getting ready to do the CMMC, and, some of their neighbors, manufacture glass and sell it up the chain. And, with CMMC, they're going to have to get certified. So there's a huge opportunity,
Hmm.
especially if every contract starts requiring CMMC. It's, if you want to do business with the Department of Defense, it'll be a requirement.
Great, Will. So I have $5,000 here with me, and I know that you are an expert. So I would like to help you to do this assessment.
So the organizations, the individuals can get their certification, but they would still need to be listed with an
Oh,
organization. And so 500 would get you the RP, but you would still need to work through an RPO to
mm,
as the organization.
okay. I will think about that. Thank you, Will,
Absolutely.
and have a great CMMC 2.0 journey.
Yeah, or 2.1 is what we're getting ready to call the next one, because we're in the final the round of going back through each department and then making these final edits. So we're pretty sure we're going to see 2.1 this year too.
Okay, I'm going straight to 2.2. Bye bye, Will.
All right, bye.